I had not even thought about the fact that Cam Jurgens wasn't signed because it's not a big deal. We went through this last year with Landon Dickerson. Same thing. And I kept telling people, and I told you, Jody, I said, don't worry about it. He'll be signed. He'll be in for camp. And he signed, I think. I looked back yesterday for JAKIBSports.com. He signed July 26th, so 2 days before camp.
And good morning, Birds fans. Appreciate you tuning in, streaming it. We're the Bird 365. All right, yeah, we're a couple seconds late, and it's on me again. Not that I overslept. I had some kind of cream golf shirt on that did not go well with the camera that I have here. Yeah, it's my bad. I had to run upstairs. So if I'm out of breath, it's because I had to go running up the stairs a minute.
It's a green screen, Jody. It limits you. I always wear something dark because there's no use in wearing something else.
I gave it.
I got JAKIB Media on today, though.
JAKIB. Oh, that'd be nice. I could use me one of those. I don't have one of those. Thanks for pointing that out to me. I just got a plain dark blue one on today. But we are well dressed. We are ready to rock and roll with you guys. There are a couple of Eagle issues we're going to hit on. Brendan Lee Gouton, our buddy from Bleeder Green Nation, going to hop aboard here in about 20 minutes. And there are a couple of National Football League issues we're going to touch on, including what's going on down in the national capital with their owner off the coast of France, Dan Snyder. We'll talk to Will Hobson from the Washington Post a little bit later in the show. But first thing I want to run by you today, J-Mac, is on JAKIBSports.com. I saw yesterday you're trying to assuage the fears of Eagle fans who might be nervous about the fact that Cam Jurgens, their second-round draft pick, center emeritus that we believe at some point is going to take over for Jason Kelce, which, oh, by the way, you're not going down to OD today?
I forgot about it.
Today would be the day if you're going to do it.
Jason Kelce going to be there. I'm glad you said that, Jody. 4 to 8 o'clock for his second annual celebrity bartending event. Probably not. I recommend everyone goes. It's for a good cause, obviously, the Eagles Autism Foundation. I think it's $10 to get in. You get a free Team Kelce penny. So, if you're a Jason Kelce fan, and he's going to have some special guests as well. So there's going to be some other Eagles helping him out. So if you're down the shore, good time. Go check out Jason and the boys.
If you're already down there, what better do you have to do? Unfortunately, I got to be on WIP tonight after the Phillies, so I have to pay close attention to the Phillies, so I can't get down there. But if you're already down the shore, if you're close enough, it's not an unbelievable out-of-the-way drive, but you got a half a day, and you go, shoot, twist my arm. I'll go down the shore and have some cocktails with Jason Kelce. Yes, at the Ocean Drive tonight, raising money for Jason's foundation and also Eagle Autism. So for a very good cause tonight at the OD in Ocean City. Wonder if Cam Jurgens will be one of the guys. Hey, if he's going to be taking over at center for Jason Kelce, maybe at some point he can take over and jump behind the stick for Kelce tonight.
Maybe he's a natural. Who knows? Maybe he's a natural bartender. I think it's going to be more veteran players, but we'll see. We'll see. Who knows?
Sucky young guy. If that's your quote unquote hazing, you got to come down and bartend behind the guy who you'll be replacing as the heir apparent. Not the worst gig in the world for Mr. Jurgens if they asked him.
It's funny because now I'm 2 for 2. I had not even thought about the fact that Cam Jurgens wasn't signed because it's not a big deal. We went through this last year with Landon Dickerson. Same thing. And I kept telling people, and I told you, Jody, I said, don't worry about it. He'll be signed. He'll be in for camp. And he signed, I think. I looked back yesterday for JAKIBSports.com. He signed July 26th, so 2 days before camp. It's just sort of the nature of the process. It's interesting. All 32 first-round picks are signed already. Kenny Pickett was the last he signed last week. Pittsburgh, number 20, a little bit more difficult for a quarterback.
Quarterbacks always are.
Yeah. there's only 16 of the second round picks that have signed. So what wiggle room there is, and there isn't much, it exists in the second round. Ever since the NFL went to this slotting format where everybody knows what they're going to make. We all know Cam Jurgens' contract and what it's going to be. It's just a matter of little things. And one of the issues is guaranteed money. How many years are going to be guaranteed? Looks like Houston went a full 3-year guarantee for Jalen Petrie, so that might be mucking up the works for some of the second round picks. Offset money is always a big deal, which is basically about, hey, if we screw up on you, we want to get some of that money back, which isn't going to happen with a second round pick. People are rarely going to move on that quickly. So I've always, and I probably said this last year on the show when we were talking about Landon, I've always said it reminds me of a married couple, an old married couple that argues because they have to argue, because they want to argue, because they have to find something. And from an agent's perspective, you know, you see Lamar Jackson, for instance, negotiating his own contract. You know, when you slot things, they become less important, at least until that second contract comes around. And then, you know, I start to think, are the agents trying to prove their worth? Well, let me see if I can get that. Let me, you know, that's part of it as well. But he'll be here. It's just a matter of July 24th or a little bit before then.
You can fight for that extra $10,000, $15,000 and make your client feel good about you, but just make sure you don't miss any camp time. And the Eagles got the job done with their second round pick last year, right before camp started. So don't sweat the Cam Jurgens thing. People make too much of it because it's a second round thing. That's the only area where contracts even have any, to use your term, and it's right on, wiggle room. So of course the agents are going to try and do the best wiggle that they can for their client. But Jurgens will be signed, and we'll see if he shows up at Jason Kelsey's charity affair today down in
Seattle.
Yeah. The other thing, and shame on me, I meant to bring this up yesterday, and we just got off on a couple different tangents, so I never touched on it. It was announced over the weekend. Seth Joyner will not be part of NBC Sports' Eagles post-game show, which I think is a must-watch for most Eagle fans. Some of us have to tune into the 4:00 game immediately thereafter, like a guy hosting a national talk show at Sunday nights when you got to talk about all the games. So I don't get a chance to see it as much. I got to tape it and go back and watch it afterwards. But I know Eagle fans flock to it after the game when the Eagles are on the road. We know that NBC's already lost Ray Dinger, who retired last month. And Seth Joyner said, another opportunity has come up. And I'm like ticked off at myself because I saw Seth last month. Ray's last Saturday show on WIP had a bunch of guests in. They invited all the WIP employees to come in, had a spread for Ray and a really nice cake for him and everything. So I jumped on, did a little 10-minute guest spot as well. And Seth showed up, and I had a chance to talk to him for a couple of minutes. I just went over, gave him the bro hug thing, and told him, damn, you look like you could still play. But I didn't get into any kind of a lengthy conversation with him because it just wasn't that kind of setting. I had no idea that he was stepping away from his Philadelphia broadcasting responsibilities. And when it happens every single time that Seth Joyner does something or says something here in town. I immediately got tweets yesterday. Ooh, can the Eagles get Seth Joyner to coach their linebackers? Do you think we can reach out and get Seth Joyner to coach our linebacker? And I get it. He's one of the most popular players to ever play here. He brings back memories of Eagle defenses gone by that may be more popular than the current Eagle defense. I understand the emotional ties to it, but I wonder if people really mean it when they ask me that question. Do you think we can get Seth to coach our linebackers? The answer is a simple one. No. If Seth Joyner wanted to coach, you know what he'd be doing right now? Coaching. He's been out of the game long enough that if that's what he wanted the next chapter of his career to be coaching, he'd be doing it already. He would have already done. He'd either be an outstanding coach or Took a shot with it, didn't like it as much as he thought, backed off, moved on to something else. So feel free, everybody, to not send me any tweets at Jody McMahon about will Seth Joyner be coaching for the Eagles. It's not happening this year. The Eagles coaching staff is set. We yesterday talked about how it's just unheard of for an entire staff to come back en masse the way the Eagles staff did this year. Not even to get Seth Joyner. Were they going to change this Eagles staff? So please don't tweet at me that we need Seth to coach the Eagles.
No, come on. Come on.
I get him every year, John.
I know.
We get a lot of social media interaction. And no one ever said, John, the answer to the Eagle defense is get Seth Joyner. It's either the linebacker coach or the defensive coordinator.
Look, Seth, and by the way, Crossing Broad did a sort of tongue-in-cheek where he will next land, and I think we're the favorites. JAKIB Media.
Oh, really?
We have our own post-game show, so on 6abc.com. So I don't get to see Seth, but I do know I've heard Seth speak many times over the years, and he wants to play Buddy Ryan's defense. Understandably so. Because of how much success, and he's a different era guy, as in many ways, so are we, Jody. But I mean, you can't play that way now. I think Tommy Lawler said it yesterday. Can't play that way anymore. Not allowed to play that way anymore. So, for a number of reasons, and whenever I think about that, I think about Mike Schmidt and the Phillies, because Mike Schmidt wanted to be the manager of the Phillies, but he didn't want to do the work to get there. Like, all-time great, maybe the greatest player in the history of the franchise. He was like, okay, make me manager. Well, just because you're a good player doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager or a good coach. And a lot of, it's the opposite. A lot of the greatest are sort of, they didn't have a lot of physical gifts, but they were able to get the most out of what they had. And they can sort of, I've always thought from a superstar's perspective, they can't understand how difficult it is for the average player or the less than average player, the guy you got to get up to speed. And, it's about technique. It's about fundamentals. It's about teaching the proper placement. And guess what? If things were easy for you, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. So the old adage is those who can't do, teach. Well, there's a reason for that, because you have to learn, and you can't just rely on your physical gifts. So there's that part of it. There's the part that you can't play Buddy Ryan's defense anymore. So please just put it down. Get that sack of bricks off your back. It's not happening. It's not coming back in this era of football. It just isn't. You can't be that physical. You can't do it that way any longer. So that's part of it as well. And then, where Seth is in his life, if he wanted to coach, Jody, as you mentioned, he would have got into coaching a couple years after retirement, maybe right after retirement. That's how this works.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons the Houston Texans got a lot of guff, and John McClain will tell you that they were going to hire Josh McCown as their head coach until they heard all the the criticism, and how could you put somebody straight off the field and make them a head coach in the National Football League? Well, the same thing applies at a different level. And Seth's been out of hasn't been playing. At least Josh has been playing or practicing, at this stage. It's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to, skip over people that have made coaching their entire lives. So Seth is an analyst, and maybe he's going to be an analyst here. And by the way, I have no inside information on that, but Crossing Broad made us the favorites, and us.
How did I miss that? I checked Crossing Broad this morning and I didn't see it. I saw those who could replace Seth Joyner on NBC as an article, and they got some big shoes to fill with Ray Diddy and Seth Joyner, but I didn't see where Seth is going to land. And I should have been able to sniff that out when I was actually in the same room with Seth and talked to his wife. I talked to his wife for as long as I talked to Seth, but didn't think to ask him that because I didn't think he was going in another direction. But that's the case. Eagle fans, do us a favor, do me a favor. I'm asking specific. Please don't tweet me and say, hey, Jody, can we get Seth Joyner to coach our linebackers? I get it. Everybody loves Seth, and well, you should. He's not coaching the Eagles anytime. I don't think he's coaching anybody.
No,
that's not in his office. And I'm just guessing here. This, as I said, I was with Seth a little over a month ago, and I didn't ask him diddly, so I don't have any inside information. I'm just speculating from outside afar. He's not coaching. He'll if he's going to do something else, and I don't think he's going out to play golf the rest of his life either. So expect him to have some kind of broadcasting gig. We just don't know what it is just yet. All right, we got our broadcasting gig here on Birds 365. John McMullen and Jody McDonald. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our bud, Brandon Lee Gouton of Bleeding Green Nation. He's had some good Eagles posts. And the thing that BLG gets out of his site, and we'll touch on this with him a little bit, is because of all the sites that SB Nation, the parent company of Bleeding Green Nation, has, he gets to talk Giants and Commanders and Commanders, and Cowboys. We'll see how he's getting other teams' feelings about the NFC East this year. Brandon Lee Gouton up next here on Birds 365.